We arrive at the airport, where Hugo enters steps of the plane, flanked by two escorts who seem in awe of him. As they make their way to the car, Hugo appears deep in thought.
His phone vibrates, breaking his focus. Irritated, he glances at it, seeing the latest rumors about Lee Gun being alive. This again, he mutters under his breath, flipping the phone closed with frustration.
As he sits back, memories of Gun flood his mind.
It was the day they attacked the Devil's Tower.
At Lee Gun's request, Hugo had stayed outside to fight the monsters, while Gun ventured inside with the other saints. Hugo hoped, deep down, that his premonition would be wrong and that Gun would return safely.
But instead, the saints came back with only Red Eye's head in tow.
The 12 were hailed as heroes, basking in the glory of their victory. Hugo, however, was devastated.
He knew something was wrong. He begged the others to go back and search for Gun, but the Dark Cancer Saint had dismissed him.
That's too much, Hugo. The Dark Cancer Saint had said, Lee Gun is dead. Searching for him is nonsense.
If you're that worried, do it yourself. Hugo had clenched his teeth, feeling powerless, unable to act against the overwhelming will of the 12 saints. Back in the car, Hugo unbuttons his shirt, trying to clear his mind. His phone rings again, this time from a restricted number. He hesitates, then answers.
A familiar voice speaks on the other end. Hugo, are you listening?
What's the problem? Hugo responds, his irritation evident. You've heard the news, haven't you? The Devil's Tower has collapsed.
Hugo sighs, rubbing his temples.
That story again.
Gun died in the Devil's Tower years ago.
I'm sorry, Prime Minister, but this rumor is baseless. The Prime Minister's voice sharpens. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that not long ago, Lee Gun's exclusive direct line was activated. Hugo's eyes widen in shock. What?
His direct line?
Yes, and the call came from that very line, the Prime Minister confirms. Realizing the implications, Hugo's heart races.
Stop the car,
he shouts.
He quickly checks his phone, scrolling through the missed calls and voicemail notifications.
One catches his attention, and he presses it to his ear. A voice crackles through. Hey, Otaiksu.
I will find you.
And I will kill you. Good luck. Hugo freezes. That voice.
Is it really you, Gun? Still in disbelief, he orders the driver. Turn back to the airport. Now.
Back at the food shop, we see Lee Gun grinning, amused by the situation. Oh, Taiksu, you've grown up, huh?
Ignoring my calls now.
One of the men with him asks. Who were you spam calling? Just someone. Gun replies nonchalantly.
Curious. Gun starts fiddling with the smartphone again. This thing is pretty amazing, he muses. There weren't smartphones before I entered the tower.
The other guy looks surprised. It's your first time using one.
Gun nods. You can even watch the news on this?
Yeah, you can check the news. Browse the internet, anything. The man responds, intrigued. Gun starts looking up reports about himself, and soon finds a flood of news stories and online comments. As he reads, his mood darkens.
Some of the comments claim that the 12 saints killed Red Eye. His fists clench, nearly crushing the phone.
I'm the one who killed Red Eye, he mutters, gritting his teeth.
Trying to calm himself, he turns his attention to his will.
To his anger, he realizes that the 12 saints had claimed all of his wealth and relics. Rage surges through him, and without thinking, he crushes the smartphone in his hand. The guy next to him yelps, my phone.
You broke it. Gun, deep in thought, sits back down.
He knows he wants the 12 saints to realize he's back, but proving it would be hard. His body is completely different now.
As he contemplates his next move, he senses something.
Gun steps outside, noticing a strange presence.
Looking up, he sees sheep-headed avatars flying above him. Aries constellation avatars.
He mutters.
These avatars were demanding tribute, but Gun had no intention of paying. He cracks his fingers, ready to destroy them, but pauses when two figures approach. The boy calls out to Gun. Hey, Hyung, stop staring and come back here.
Gun locks eyes with the man, his gaze intimidating.
The two guys who were with him earlier begin to tremble. We're so screwed. One of them whispers. The Gemini man takes a drag from his cigarette and blows smoke directly into Gun's face.
You're causing quite the scene, aren't you?
He says, smirking as he tries to intimidate Gun. Gun's expression darkens. His patience gone.
Hey, he calls out, voiced low and dangerous.
You two cockroaches.
Both Gemini men turn back, their expressions menacing. Did you just call us cockroaches?
One asks. Gun cracks his fists, grinning with dangerous intent.
Yeah,
he replies.
You ready to fight? The Gemini guy steps forward, his face twisted in anger. Say that again, I dare you. He growls at Lee Gun. Gun smirks, unfazed by the threat.
With a simple flick of his finger, he taps the Gemini guy's forehead. The impact sends the man flying backward, crashing violently onto the street.
The two men standing with Gun gasp in shock, their eyes wide with disbelief. Gun stands there, hand outstretched, looking amused. Meanwhile, the Gemini girl, startled by her partner's defeat, tries to sneak up from behind Gun, preparing to attack.
But before she can land a blow, Gun flicks her away just as effortlessly, sending her sprawling across the pavement without even turning to look at her. Gun glances over his shoulder, watching the two guys behind him still frozen in shock.
If I had actually used my skills, they'd be dead, he says, almost to himself. One of the men stutters, but you just flicked away a class Templar like they were nothing. Gun kneels down, examining the necklace around the fallen Gemini guy's neck.
With a tug, he pulls it off, inspecting it closely.
This felt different when I hit him, he murmurs, his eyes narrowing. Is this a relic?
He frowns. Why would a Templar have something that only saints should possess?
The younger guy next to him hesitates before speaking.
Hyang, you really don't know anything, do you?
Gun looks at him expectantly, and the boy begins to explain.
Decades ago, humanity was on the brink of extinction because of the monsters. The Foley gods and the 12 saints saved the world, but even with their power, the 12 couldn't protect everything. So they gathered followers and formed sects. The people who received power from the saints and awakened aim to be known as Templars. They're ranked by strength. The saints are chosen by the holy gods to lead, followed by the cardinals candidates for sainthood.
Then come the bishops, the strongest of the Templars, who command the rest.
The rest are just regular Templars, like the ones you just fought. Gun clenches his fist, the weight of the explanation sinking in.
So much has happened in 20 years, he mutters. The boy looks up suddenly, pointing to the sky.
Hyang, look up there. Floating above them are sheep-headed avatars, glowing with the energy of the Aries constellation.
They're watching us. They want you to kill the Gemini Templars. They want blood, the older man with gun pales. Oh no.
You've attracted the attention of the avatars. They're like reflections of the holy gods themselves. He turns to Gun, panicking. You should do as they ask, or it could be dangerous. Gun's smirk widens.
The memory of the Aries saints fills his mind, and anger flashes in his eyes. He remembers the betrayal.
I don't take orders from them, he growls. Suddenly, green energy crackles around Gun, his aura becoming intense. With a single stomp to the ground, he unleashes a powerful shockwave that erases the avatars in an instant. The two men beside him stare, mouths agape, unable to comprehend the immense power they've just witnessed.
The younger guy whispers, He's
not an ordinary person. Gun casually dusts off his hands and turns to the boy.
What's your name? The boy straightens up. Hanjay Mayen. Good. Gun pauses for a moment, thinking, then turns his attention back to the unconscious Gemini Templars.
Tell me more about these Gemini people, he says. But halfway through Hunchmin's explanation, Gun waves him off, uninterested.
Never mind that.
Do they have any money?
Hanjay Mayen blinks, confused.
Money? Ah, I don't. Gun, ignoring the rest of the explanation, eyes the branded clothing on the Gemini Templars.
Without hesitation, he starts looting the unconscious bodies, stripping them of their expensive clothes. These look good, he says, smirking, holding up a designer jacket. The two men watch in stunned silence as Gun casually takes what he wants, clearly unbothered by the absurdity of the situation.